the 25th episode of our digital show Here and There. It is a privilege to have your company today as we stream live at Streetsville Memorial Park in Streetsville. You know, my kids made these signs as well, so I want to thank Rylan and Oliver for that. We're in for a heck of a show. It's going to be lots of fun. I am so thrilled that we have our friends, some of the members from the Mississauga Classic Car Club to join us on site here. This is Frank's 1974 Caprice Classic Convertible. You know, he said, listen, if we're going to do this right, you need to sit on the back seat. So I appreciate, you know, your confidence that I wasn't going to fall.
I appreciate you fall off.
But this is just fantastic. So I'm going to hop out here. Welcome aboard, everybody. So what we'll do, I'll just move this here and open that. Man, look at this. Isn't it amazing? Have all of our friends join us here. It's such a privilege to have your company on a Friday. This is going to be an amazing show. We still have some of these classic cars coming in. And we're going to, you know, get a close-up look at some of them throughout the course of the show. That's my promise as we stream live here. You know, Streetsville is known as the village in the city, and it officially amalgamated with Mississauga 47 years ago. But to this day, it still maintains its unique charm. There is a certain quality about it. So we're going to tell you a few stories. It's really quite amazing. We have the backdrop of this wonderful park, and there's significance to the park and the location that we're at. You know what? Well, you guys are so classic. You find a spot and get comfy wherever you need to be. That's okay with me. Some of these classics were actually, you know, here well before Streetsville officially became a town, let alone a part of the city. So we're excited to tell you some of the details with that. We got a cool show coming up. Of course, we're also going to talk about the forecast. And I have to tell you, with this team here, and I was going to say guys, but we also have a lady representing. Woo! All right, Mary's in the house. It's all about weather with them. And they were saying, you know, Anwar, it's looking like rain. And I said to Ron, Ron, don't worry. We're going to be okay. And are we okay? Yeah. We're okay. So that's what it's all about. You know, this club, they love to show their cars. They do a lot of show and shines. They go to different communities. Of course, with COVID, things have been very different. But this is an opportunity, much like, you know, the object of the show is to get together and celebrate something positive, something good. So we're glad that they're here. The weather is going to heat back up. We have 1 day break before the humidity returns. I'll have all of those details. A new AKQ, the Anwar Night Query, and we're going to tie in the theme here. It'll be a fun one, I promise. And of course, another installment of our Nod to Nature. I'm going to show you a tree that's 152 million years old. So it's going to be a jam-packed show. But first, I want to sort of set the scene where we are. As I mentioned behind me here, this is the park. This is the Streetsville Memorial Park. It's a 30-acre green space located right on the banks of the Credit River. And there's quite a few features here, baseball diamond, of course, a playground. But this is, and I'm going to take you aboard now, the HNTI in the sky. So let me take you up to our drone. And I want to show you the green space that is just behind me. There's a bridge over the river. And it is very significant because that is where they host the legendary Bread and Honey Festival. It's been running for almost 50 years. So as we look up in the sky here, you'll see it's actually a natural amphitheater. So you have that green space and it kisses the banks of the Credit River. And that's where they put the vendors, the food, the entertainment. And it's actually well designed naturally for music. So beautiful visuals here, courtesy of Ricardo, our videographer, and we can see how large of a space it is. It's just fantastic. And you know, Streetsville is, of course, where Hazel McCallion began her historical political career. She was the first female mayor of Streetsville, and I think she went on to do a couple of other things after that. I think, maybe, right? But her husband actually was one of the founding members of the Bread and Honey Festival, and again, that is where, for the most part, all the activities happen. They do the parade on the main street, and then all the activity goes down there. So this is going to be very cool. Now, you know, there are so many wonderful stories here. I'm also going to talk about how I would say one of the most iconic artists in music history spent some time in Streetsville. Some really cool stories. We like to sort of pull back the curtain on them, and we're going to do that, as well as talk about some of the stories here. In fact, Fern, if you can get the mic ready, we're going to chat with Frank, because this is his beauty. And you have how many cars?
Well, 4 classic ones right now.
4 classic ones right now. And, you know, you actually, it was your suggestion, let's get the convertible.
Yeah.
right? But what I'm really interested is that for a lot of classic car lovers, this is about, you know, finding that gem, you know, in the rough. And you describe them as barn finds.
Yes.
Was this in a barn as well?
This was actually, well, stored in someone's, buried in their garage for 25 years. We had to dig it out and pull it out with 4 flat tires. And I bought it non-running, taking a gamble because I just love the car. And my plan is this winter to completely restore it.
And you don't have to answer this question.
Yeah.
But can I ask you what you paid?
Yes. No, I
just
paid
curious.
$3,000 for her.
$3,000.
And then I had to put $12,000 into it to get it running.
But now it's running.
Now she runs great. She runs better than all my other cars.
So would you say, you know, collectors, they find the car finds them?
It's a bit of both. Well, I do a radio show, and one of my listeners heard me on the radio because I do a show called Frank's Garage.
Right.
Says, I hear you collect cars. Well, I've got this old car that's been sitting in my garage forever. Come take a look at it. And as soon as I saw it, I nearly broke my wrist getting my hand to my wallet to pay her for it.
And the rest is history. Now, I have to ask you, because, you know, convertibles back in the day, you know, it was all about not only looking cool, but keeping cool.
Yes.
Because AC was more for luxury vehicles. It wasn't until around the mid-70s it became more and more the norm. But was this not the model that had also the seatbelt alarm, that unless it was buckled?
This one doesn't. That may have been a little later, but for air, a lot of these came with air conditioning. Unfortunately, this doesn't have it. We're trying to source it.
This? What are you talking about?
Well, exactly. Except with global warming right now, with the top down and it gets hot, I would like air conditioning even with the top down.
No kidding. That's where you get the hat on. You know, I mentioned some of the features in the car because as we get to our AKQ, the Anwar Night Query, I'm asking you today if you could invent a must-have feature that could be included in your dream car, what would it be? And this could be frivolous, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be a safety thing, but if you were to invent something that would be like, wow. And is there something that you would love to put in a car like this?
More power. Bigger tires.
Okay, so...
You can never have enough power.
Never have enough power. If that happens to be your feature, more power to you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm asking you today. If you could invent one feature and you could put it in a dream car, money, no object, let's make it frivolous, something, you know, a dream factor. Because I mentioned this, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, for North American car buyers, do you know what the #1 complaint is when it comes to the manufacturers in North America? The #1 complaint are cup holders. How many, where are they, and how much do they fit? True story. They spend millions of dollars trying to figure out the exact location for a cup holder in a car. And it's because, you know, now more than ever, it's an extension of our home. Right? We spend so much time in our car, whether we're working from it or, you know, taking the kids to soccer and they're getting the drinks. So that's the question I'm asking you. We have so many people joining us already this morning. We'll say hello to Miranda, who says congrats on episode 25. Thank you so much. Kathy says really enjoy it. Jerry says thrilled to see you back in action, and says that biggest fan. Thank you very much for that, Jerry. Also Laura says gorgeous. Sarah says congratulations. Here's to many more. Helen is watching. Susan is watching. Tammy is saying congratulations. Oh my goodness. So we have Amy, Janice, Carol, Judy, Helen, Edith, Shauna, everybody joining us today on this very special episode. I've always appreciated your support, and we continue to grow. So, you know, we mentioned that it's not just guys, although I have to admit, there are a lot of gentlemen here, but we have a beautiful lady. Mary is joining us here. So, Mary, this car fascinates me, not only the styling, but I know this was a game changer because of the emblem, right?
Yeah, it's a Mercury.
So they put that big M on this car.
Yes.
And what drew you to this particular vehicle?
Actually, my husband bought this vehicle.
Okay.
But when I seen it, I go, oh, it's summer, because when you look at it, that's what I think of, is summer.
It's summer.
So, but he wouldn't let me drive it. So when he died, I got the car. It's one of the best things I inherited. I've had a great time with it.
Okay, so now, not just for sentimental reasons, you love the car.
I love the car. I've taken it to Kingston and Niagara Falls. I've taken it to the U.S.
Now, when you say that you've driven to Kingston, how many times are you filling up the tank?
Twice. Once here and once when I get there.
Oh, so that's not bad.
No.
Not bad at all.
No, you can drive a fair amount with this car. It gets about 21 miles to the gallon.
Isn't that
I'm
something?
not I don't understand the
liters?
The liters.
It doesn't
and
matter. I
whatnot,
just look for
so.
E and F too.
And what do you call it? Cup holders would be a great thing because there is none.
There's nothing.
None. Not one.
But you look really cool in this. I mean, are we showing the inside too, Ricardo? We have a second. I mean, this is really just amazing.
It's got 74,500 original miles on it. It was built in Oakville.
Isn't that something? So, name?
It's a Mercury Monterey.
No, you must have a code name for that.
Oh, I call it Summer.
Beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
we are so glad that you
People
could bring...
say it looks like, you know the ice cream, it's orange and white?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an icicle, a creamsicle. I think it's called.
Creamsicle.
Well,
The
Mary's
plate
driving
says
around.
Al's Cruiser because that was my husband's.
Right.
But yeah.
That's beautiful. And how often would you get it out during the summer? Like,
There was times I did a show or a cruise night every single day of the week.
Isn't that something? Well, we hope those days come sooner than later,
I hope
right?
so. I'm tired of being stuck in my
Yes.
house.
Well, we're glad that you came out to show off Summer to us. Just a beautiful, beautiful vehicle. Thank you for that, Mary.
You're welcome.
You know, there are so many wonderful stories. We have so many different cars here, and we're going to get to quite a few of them. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Streetsville and the fact where we are, talking about a great, road trip, a drive. If you went up the hill here, and you would continue up, maybe a minute's worth, you'd get up to the main street. And that's also considered Mississauga Road. And if you followed Mississauga Road all the way down, you would get to a property as you're going south on the right side. It was a farm property that belonged to no other than Ronnie Hawkins. We all know who Ronnie is, right? Known as the Hawk. So let's move down here while we chat about that. And I mean, this is just an amazing story because, Ronnie Hawkins, known as the Hawk, he was the father of Canadian rock and roll. He had a farm there. And in 1969, he had two very special guests. Again, that's in Streetsville. And you know who those guests were? John Lennon and Yoko Ono. They were launching their peace tour, and they were already in a little bit of trouble with the U.S., so they didn't want to go into hotels. They met Ronnie, and he said, come over to my farm. So they spent some time. Now, I want to show you some pictures, because Ronnie Hawkins, you have to think this was a large spread here. It's not as developed as it was now. They went out on snowmobiles. So I'll show you some pictures. John Lennon absolutely loved hopping on these snowmobiles. He's never done it before. And the images will show the big grin on his face. There's another image with him and Yoko, riding on it. And then there's a picture of Ronnie and his wife and John and Yoko. And they just love their stay there. Yoko, when they're doing this peace tour, they're also actually planning a peace festival that was supposed to happen in Toronto. That never actually launched. But Yoko installed, some say between 9 and 16 phone lines. Well, they stayed with Ronnie. And the goal was just to call leaders and say, it's time for peace. And some articles say that Ronnie said it ran up a $9,000 phone bill that they never paid, and then eventually it was paid. But the fact that they were able to get, over 10 phone lines in 36 hours, I mean, Bell, you're lucky if it's 10 days and you got to wait 8 hours, right, for them to come. But isn't that something? So they stayed there on the property, and towards the end of the trip, they boarded a train. Ronnie went with his wife, and they met Pierre Trudeau in Ottawa. And apparently they clicked really, remarkably well. But is that not a fascinating story? You live in the city, you live and you visit different communities, and you pull back a little bit of the layer and you find some of the history. I was just floored by it. Now, that was in 1969. We have a number of cars that go before and after that. So let's see this beautiful car. So do you want to get the mic pole? So tell me who you are.
I'm Wes Manuel.
Wes, tell me about this beautiful car here.
Oh, it's a 68 Skylark convertible with factory air.
With factory air?
With factory air.
Do you use it often?
The other day I was cooling my feet off while I was driving because it was too hot.
Okay. Oh, poor baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've used it to drive Mayor Hazel in her retirement.
Right.
I drove her in the convention center on this car.
Well, isn't that something?
That was my highlight of having this one so far.
And this particular car, was this sort of you found a diamond in the rough sort of thing?
No, I bought it. Well, I did some work. I had the paint restored.
Right.
They brought the color back up and put a nice glaze on it.
Right.
But it's basically factory. I've changed the radio in it, but...
Is this a lot of work?
Not too bad. Cleaning's easy now because I just wash it with the top down.
Okay, fair enough. But I mean,
Half a car to wash.
But there's obviously a commitment. There's passion here.
Oh, yeah.
Do you find that, you know, the upkeep, whether it's a certain part or something else goes and you got to start Googling for it?
Not really. This car's been pretty good.
Yeah.
I have some extra parts that came with it, but I haven't really replaced. But I have 2 other vehicles to play with too, so.
And what are the other ones?
It's an 84 Silverado.
Wow.
And then I have an 03 GT Mustang convertible.
Is it true when you start with one, there happens to be a 2 and a 3? Is it like having kids sometimes?
Well, they just seem to pop in.
And never leave.
But I bought this when my wife passed away, so.
Wow.
To go back in time.
To go back in time. And I think... you want to just lift that up for a little bit. Well, that's fantastic, Wes. Thank you so much. Again, another one of the cars here. Go back in time. That is something, you know, I think we all cling on to some point, right? There's something in our past that we want to remember, and maybe you find a pathway to celebrate that, and this could be certainly one of the ways to do that. CE Snowflake says, my son has a 1993 Mercedes 190E. It has no cup holders, and it drives him nuts. That's interesting. Shauna says, standard heated and cooled seats and steering wheel, maybe a built-in cooler. You know, there was some cars that actually had, and I forget the model, and this is going back in the 70s, but they had an ice cube maker at the bottom of the foot rest, and I thought, I don't know. I mean, back then, I guess drinking and driving was, and not that it should ever be acceptable, but maybe it was all part of it. I don't know. But an ice cube maker. Now, that being said, if you're doing picnicking or that sort of thing, you could use some ice. Guys, what about you, Ricardo? Anything that you want to see in a car?
I need a coffee maker.
A coffee maker. Why not cappuccino? Let's bring it up. Cappuccino or espresso. That sounds very nice. I like that idea. Kathy says, I'd like a car with AC since my 1990 Honda Civic has none. And also an extra, I'd like a safety feature in the back seat. That's interesting. For my dog, you know, you could buy aftermarket stuff, but I bet you that would be very popular as a luxury item in a car. So Bev is saying, beautiful car, what year? I'm not sure which one you're referring to. This was
68.
This is 68, if you were talking about that one. And Marina says, I have 3 cup holders, but only one holder that holds a cup. Well, that's part of the problem, right? The manufacturers put it in there, and they give you the illusion, but really it's just for a business card or your change. It doesn't really hold a cup. And now, more than ever, when people are drinking coffee, they bring a big coffee cup, right? Christy Alec is giving us a big heart in Streetsville. And Alan says, cool Buick Skylark convertible. Christopher says, great story. And, well, that's true. Shauna says, Trudeau always loves celebrity. That's very true, and he was a celebrity in his own right as well. Catherine's saying happy 25th episode. They are superb. Watching from Tio, well, we appreciate that. Linda says, love the old cars. And Judy says, love your videos and miss you on TV, watching from Bradford. Well, thank you for watching us, Judy. We appreciate that. We appreciate your company. Let's see this car now. This is a beautiful one as well. First name, sir?
Ron.
Ron.
Yes.
Now, what I find interesting is that the green holds true from the exterior to the interior.
Yes, it does.
And what drew you to this car?
It was a price.
It was a surprise?
No, it was the price.
Oh, and do you mind if I ask?
Well, I paid $500 for it.
Well, I would have taken 2.
Yeah. But this is 20 years ago, before it looked like this.
And can I ask you how much you put into it when you got it for 500?
Well, you might say it's in the, I'd say, the thousands.
Thousands.
So we'll leave it at that, you know.
Now, when you're putting in money into and rebuilding a car, do you find it difficult to find parts? Because I know there's a huge community of car collectors. Do you find that you can still use some market parts that are still available now, or not necessarily?
There's still some available, but they're getting harder all the time to find.
Yeah.
But with this online stuff now, it's getting...
A lot easier.
Whoever's got it and wants to get rid of it, they put it online, so it's not too bad.
How often do you wash it?
I should wash it a lot oftener than I do, but I'd say once a month.
Once in a while, that's still pretty good. Do you have a name for it?
No, this is just my Aspen, that's all.
Okay, well, if anybody has a name, we would like to put it, we'll just put it on the table.
Thank you.
All right, like Green Machine comes to me, but maybe that's
Right.
too easy. But I think it's a beautiful car.
Thank you.
Just a beautiful car, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Joyce and Helen are also joining us today. Before we continue our tour, I want to get into the forecast, and we'll start off by letting you know that the weather is brought to you by the Big Blue Marble podcast. Listen along to undeniable stories of our changing planet and amazing people trying to save it. And you can access that on your favorite podcast player or online at www.bigbluemarble.earth. Kevin is with us here, and now he says this is the prettiest girl on the block here.
I thought you said that.
No, I didn't say that. I said it was very nice.
Okay, fine.
Tell me about this beast.
So this is a 1973 MGB Roadster.
Okay.
I've had it coming on almost 10 years now. The moment I saw this car, I fell in love with it, and she's my little girl.
And so is there a name?
Princess.
Princess is her
Absolutely,
name.
yeah.
Okay. Do you have any kids?
I have 2 boys, and this is my girl.
And this is your girl.
Absolutely, yes.
They're thrilled.
I planned
They're
ahead,
thrilled to hear this, that their sister has 4 wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you get this? Was this a barn find? Was this?
No, it's not a barn find.
Okay.
It's a little bit famous. I'll give you a little bit of history. It's a Canadian car. It was owned by a minister out in Oshawa.
Right.
The prior owner to this car was the record producer for Rush, the band.
Oh, isn't that something?
Yes.
Well, that's
He was
cool.
the gentleman that actually restored the car.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to kind of benefit from his restoration. So I'm the one who kind of just keeps her clean and looking pretty.
Now this is only for show.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Because I saw you put it out
Yes,
there.
because the camera was coming.
You see, so it's like, let's put on the basket
Exactly.
on the back and we're going to go for a picnic,
Exactly.
shall we?
Just like in the day.
Just like in the day. It is a beautiful car. All of these cars are amazing stories, beautiful stuff. Let's hop over here. Carl, hop over here if you wouldn't mind. So Ricardo, yeah, you want to stay there. Carl, come on in. This is your Corvette. And I have to ask you, hot summer day, you're going for a trip, and you're playing a song. What song comes to mind?
Say the Eagles.
Am I putting you on the spot?
I'm getting too old. I don't remember.
Okay,
Whatever.
that doesn't matter. But are we doing sort of something really upbeat or something more mellow?
The oldies.
The oldies.
The oldies and the goldies.
Oldies and the goldies. And why this car? Of all the cars out there, what drew you to this?
Well, I had an older one, a 1968, but
Yeah.
I ended up hurting myself and had to give it away. And
Okay.
it took me years to save up enough, and this came up cheap at a sheriff's sale, and
Yeah.
that's all I could afford.
Well, it's your
They
prize
fixed
beauty
it.
now.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, are those cup holders original?
No.
So you had to put these in?
Yeah, it just slides on the brake handle
Now,
there.
you know, we could sell that.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to clone that. So you have a nice wooden cup holder system in here. I love it, and it fits beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Carl.
Okay, thank you.
I want to take you over here as we continue to say hello. We're streaming live, by the way, at Streetsville Memorial Park. This is the 25th episode of Here and There, and it's been such a cool ride so far, and we're going to continue to excel. But take a look at the Mini here. You know, this has got a fascinating story as we say hello to Shar and Kathy, who says she has a 1980 Triumph TR7 convertible, but it needs work. So Kathy, does that mean you want to sell it, or you're just saying it needs work? Because I bet you we can find somebody. Let's talk about this though, the Mini. Don, this car was voted as the second most influential car of the 20th century. It was behind the Ford Model T. First of all, you fit in there comfortably? No issues?
That car is heaven.
It's heaven. Okay.
Just sit right in there and just feel like a kid. That car, I had that car on Mosport.
Yes.
And I was going by Mustangs. I was passing everything. This car was mean. And I never got the happy finger so many times. And it was just out of this world.
You can't give the happy finger back right now.
Oh, it's coming back.
Okay.
Anyways,
How long have you had this though?
20 years.
And did you get it in good condition, or this was part of a passion project for
I
you?
put every nut and bolt in it. The original car that this car replaced went to scrapyard.
Went to scrapyard. So this is really like a puzzle that you put together.
It is it. This car, I'm sorry, but this car was a dream. It was a dream. This car, I put everything I wanted on it.
Yeah. Well, you know what's really interesting, again, I love the stories about this. Some people may not know, there was a very iconic fashion designer named Mary Quant. And apparently, and I know, Don, you know this, apparently she was inspired to create a very popular accessory for women, a clothing accessory known as the mini skirt, after seeing the mini car. Is that not the coolest thing?
You're right.
So the stories that are all connected here, and what I love about this, at the end of the day, you just put it in your pocket and walk away.
Nod to nature.
Oh man, yes. All right. Just before we wrap up, I want to get into our nod to nature because this is really cool. You know, we're going to take you to Utah and show you an amazing discovery, and that is a tree that's 152 million years old. Now, to be specific, it's a petrified portion of a once living tree, but it dates back from the dinosaur age. So I'll show you some images of this. What they found is it's 12 feet long and it weighs over 8 tons. So this is almost, you know, like a bus, if you will. And paleontologists discovered it in what is known as the Morrison Formation, or the graveyard for dinosaurs. And they discovered 24 logs now that they've sort of uncovered this one, all of course petrified. And they say it's an ancestor of the modern day Norfolk pine tree, which I think is also cool. Now, if you know about trees, the Norfolk pine, I mean, that can go easily in terms of height, 200 feet, could have a 10-foot trunk. So it's really quite amazing. But I love the connection. You know, when we talk about the nod to nature, it's just cool to show you that a tree is, you think a tree is just a tree, but it's not. There's always a cool story. Now, just before we wrap up, Ron Carter, you being a longtime member of
6 years.
6 years? Well, that's long enough.
That's a
you know,
long time.
Now, the beauty about the Mississauga Car Club is that the only stipulation, Frank gets set, we're going to drive off in a moment. They're having too much fun. You know? But this is good. Socialization, we need it. The only stipulation, you have to own the car and you have to love a car.
That's it. That's it. We used to be the Mississauga Classic Car Club,
right,
but we evolved
right,
into, rather than just classics, it's all makes, all models, all years. If you've got a car that's worth having a look at,
yeah,
bring it out. When we get our shows back,
right,
2022, we want cars.
And members, obviously, women, men, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely.
And is there any time commitment, or it's really just up to you? It's just everybody coming together and having that passion?
Well, we're always in need of people to help us put the shows together.
Sure.
We put a show on every week,
Right,
and we put on a feature show once a year.
right.
Takes a lot of person power.
Sure does.
So.
And let's hope again that, you know, those normal days are going to come, because I think, you know, as we echoed before in the show, that really, I think now more than ever, we want to channel into something positive, something that really puts a smile on our face, and we're starting to see this. So thank you very much, Ron. We're going to put the website, by the way, in our show notes if you're interested in getting in contact with Ron. But at this point, I would ask you for your continued support. Show me the parade of hearts, the likes, share the page and follow the page. This is about having fun, about connecting. And thank you, Richard. I want to do a quick shout out again to my boys who made these posters for me. They're so excited about the show. So boys, thank you so much. Daddy loves you, and I appreciate your support for this show as well. If you're watching this show, Richard's just taking pictures. If you're watching the show on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel as we continue to grow. You know, this is something that's never been done before. The fact that we can produce a show without conventional broadcast. It's about doing everything digitally. It's about connecting with people real time and visiting wonderful green spaces and community and fabulous people, and I think that's what we did. Big thank you to everybody here at the Mississauga Car Club. On that note, we are going to do our swan song out for episode 25 here and there. And we hope to see you again next weekend, live at Friday at 1 o'clock. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you. Woo!